All right, what's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast, real estate tip, where every single week I come to you delivering them tips, tactics, and strategies to help you get shit done inside your real estate business and help you ensure that you are crushing and dominating your overall real estate goals. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about how to identify your ideal client, niching down and developing your USPs, your unique selling propositions. I'm actually going to be walking you through my 5-step lead generation strategy framework so you'll know how to go out there and dial this in. And there's going to be different times throughout your career and different stages where this goes out there and changes and pivots. And then there's times where, okay, hey, we're doing amazing with this ideal client, but we get at a max capacity, with that ideal client. But we want to grow and scale our business. Maybe we need to add in a secondary ideal client or a third ideal client, right? So this is something that will serve you for your whole entire career. Now, everything I'm going to be covering today, whether you're an individual agent, whether you're a team leader, whether you're a brokerage owner. So what I mean by this is everything that we're talking about here today 100% applies whether you're trying to go after buyers, trying to go after sellers or agent recruits, or even if you're outside of the real estate industry. Maybe you're listening to this, you're a lender, you're in the title industry, or in a completely different industry. Maybe you're in e-commerce. This is really just kind of, in-depth marketing 101, if you will. But unfortunately, this stuff's just never really talked about in real estate. At least, I've never been to a real estate conference or had a real estate coach that broke this stuff down. It took me building other businesses and getting into other niches, e-commerce and digital marketing and other things to really learn this and hone this down and get this stuff dialed in. Okay, so a few things here before we begin though. You probably heard the saying that the riches is in the niches. Right. Because, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because people are like, well, why is this important, man? Why can't I just go out there and just do XYZ activity? Look, if you want to make a ton of money, if you want to do really well, like you got to learn to niche down. The more that you niche down, the more effective your marketing is going to be, the more effective your messaging is going to be, the more effective that your conversions are going to be, the more effective that you can differentiate yourself, right? The more effective you are at getting, like USPs. When unique selling propositions, why do we have USPs? So your competitors choose you your ideal clients choose you versus your competitors because you're speaking their language and you get them coming to you and choosing you versus your competitors. It's that differentiator. Again, unique selling proposition. All right. So then though, throughout your career, there's going to be different times where you got to pivot with your pivot niches, pivot ideal clients. You hear me talk about this a lot if you listen to this podcast a lot, but in case this is your first experience here, I'm going to bring up a couple different things that I just find extremely important because you got to be like water, man. You got to be able to flow. Again, economies are going to be shifting, markets are going to be shifting, or sometimes, okay, you get used to going after, this particular, niche with this particular strategy. And then all of a sudden, boom, that thing becomes disrupted because of technology, or no longer is it just effective, or let's just say, okay, market shifts, let's just say, okay, maybe you're going after first-time buyers and you're just slaying it with first-time buyers and that's your niche. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe real estate prices go through the roof and all of a sudden prices are double or triple what they were over a 5-6 year period of time. Does that sound familiar to anybody? And then now it becomes almost, first-time buyers kind of become obsolete, with that. So then now you got to shift maybe to move up buyers or, sellers. And so things are always changing. And change is always taking place, always has, always will. Don't have resistance to it. Don't fear it. We just got to be able to go out there and change accordingly and adapt accordingly. Okay, so then from there, another thing that you hear me talk about a lot is the understanding there are no such thing as good markets or bad markets. This becomes really important, right? When it comes to being able to help you be proactive at identifying your best lead gen strategy, being able to niche down and do all the things that we're talking about here today. It's operating from that mental philosophy that there are no such thing as a good market. There is no such thing as a bad market. The market is always good for somebody. It is our job as real estate professionals to identify whom the market is currently good for and then shift and pivot and adapt accordingly to whom the market is good for. Look, people are always buying and selling real estate. There's always real estate agents going out there and wanting to jump in the business. And okay, but those things can change based on the market, right? And again, it's things I've talked about in the podcast, but this might be your first experience here. So I want to restate it because it's so damn important. But some of the best advice and some, one of the best learning lessons I learned early on in my career, when it comes to, the selling side, when it comes to going after buyers and sellers. But look, maybe you're a team leader broker and that's out of production. We got to be damn good at being able to instill these values and lessons into our agents so then they can go out there and be victorious with this. But if you want to go out there and have a long, successful career where your business continues to grow and scale, regardless of the market, regardless of the economy, you got to get damn good at learning how to acquire and service traditional buyers and sellers, get damn good at learning how to acquire and service investor clients, damn good at learning how to acquire and service distressed clients, because it doesn't matter what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the market, one of those is always going to be strong. All right, so now I'm going to break down my 5-step lead gen strategy framework. And by the end of this, you're going to know exactly who you need to target, so who you need to target, what your message needs to be, where you're going to target them at, how you're going to go out there and target them, all of these different components, these 5 different components inside this framework come together. So again, we know the who, the what, the where, the how, so we can put together our overall most effective lead gen strategy so we can go out there and again, have the most success at acquiring the ideal customers that we want to go out there and acquire. Now, before I jump into this framework, and before we break this down, just real quick, if you are an individual agent, if you are a team leader, if you are a real estate brokerage owner and your business is not exactly where you want and need it to be, maybe your business is operating down here, but you know your full potential is way up here. And look, your business might be declining. There's a lot of people that are in that scenario right now because shit's ratcheted down, shit's gotten tougher. So maybe your business is declining, maybe it's staying stagnant, just not growing. But right now, with all this crazy inflation, I'm telling you right now, if your business is staying stagnant, you are losing business every single year. You're losing money every single year. Hopefully you can grasp that. Hopefully you can understand that if you're making 200 grand today, that is a hell of a lot less than if you were making 200 grand 5 years ago, right? Like our money's losing value very quickly. So stagnation is declining. But then from there, okay, maybe your business is growing. Again, just not growing at the pace that you want it to. It's like you're operating down here, but you know your full potential is up here. You just do not know exactly what you need to do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. If that is you, I invite you to schedule a limited time. And when I say limited time, because I can't do these forever, I'm just doing these for a limited amount of time, 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. Well, we're going to spend an hour together on that call. We're going to be breaking down your business, where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals and visions are, what you're currently doing, what your obstacles are. Then from there, I'm going to map out, hey, if I'm you, if we were to switch places, trade places, if I'm in your shoes, here's exactly what I would do to get you exactly from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. I'm going to remove all that guesswork. I'm going to remove all that confusion so you know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in that quickest time frame possible. So if that is you want to take advantage of this, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call, www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Got nothing to lose, everything to gain. I promise you this is not going to be some waste of time. I'm here to pour into you and make sure we get you dialed in. So if you want to take advantage of this limited opportunity that you normally charge $1,000 an hour for, if you want to get this for free, and I'm just doing this for a temporary period of time because I know that there's a lot of you that are struggling out there, and I want to make sure to give back to all the amazing GSD Mode supporters of this podcast that have helped me so much over the years through this support. I want to give back to you for this period of time and help ensure that you are dialed in. If you want to take advantage of this, go ahead and book that now. Now, real quick, you are going to land on a very important video as soon as you book that. That you need to watch. That's going to make sure that you're prepped for this call so we maximize our time to ensure that we get you dialed in, because I'm going to make sure that you do not leave that call without knowing exactly what you need to do. Okay, so let's jump back in here. We're going through the 5-step lead generation strategy framework so you can identify who your exact ideal client is. This is going to allow you to niche down and again, develop your unique selling proposition so you can speak more specifically to solving your ideal client's problems, right? You create that relatability, right? And it gets those ideal clients choosing you versus your overall, versus your overall competitors, right? Now, the one thing that I want to state here is look, there for most of you, you are going to have more than one ideal client. right? So you're going to have a lot of times multiple ideal clients. There is nothing wrong with that, right? Now that all depends on, okay, if you're an individual agent and you're wanting to, close, I don't know, 1 deal a month, 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month. Okay. You can probably get away with just having one ideal client. Now there's going to be times in your career where, again, ideal clients might shift and might change due to outside circumstances, economic circumstances, or due to certain things breaking and not working anymore. Doesn't mean the ideal client needs to shift and change, but maybe the medium of how you go out there and target your ideal client needs to change. But as you are growing and scaling, there's a lot of times you're going to have different ideal clients. And again, whether it's up the buyer side, the seller side, going out the agent recruit side. So if you're doing a lot of volume, like, okay, with my real estate team, okay, we're selling a lot of homes, and to be able to continue to grow and scale and do the volume that we are doing, I've got a lot of different ideal clients. I've got different ideal clients on the, buyer and seller side, different ideal clients on the agent recruiting side. So when we look at that, it's like, okay, yeah, man, like right now in this market, man, I'm going after expireds. I'm going after absentee owners. I'm going after FSBOs. I'm going after divorces. I'm going after pre-foreclosures. I'm going after, certain buyers, which I'll break down what that looks like and what that means here. And I'll give some examples here, with the different, buyer niches that we are going after. But then from there, okay, on the agent recruit side, man, I'm going after brand new agents. I'm going after seasoned agents, right? Then I'm going after, team leaders. Like one of my niches is an example, because one of a lot of times when we're targeting ideal clients, a lot of time, if the market, if in a perfect scenario, perfect situation, that world isn't always perfect. And again, I'm going to go deeper into this so you can understand what I mean and what I'm saying by this, but if the world was perfect, okay, a lot of times your ideal client can be, okay, who you enjoy working with the best, who you connect with the best, who you like working with the best, who sends you maybe the most repeat referral business, who you can serve and support the best. So like, let's just look at the agent recruit side to just give an example, and then I'll give a bunch of buyer and seller examples as well. Okay, like I was a brand new agent at one point, right? So were we all, okay, so I know what to do with brand new agents to get them rocking and rolling and get them going out there and serving, supporting them. One of my ideal clients with brand new agents is those that are have a full-time job, that want to transition out of that full-time job into full-time real estate. Now, that doesn't mean that was never me. I got into this real estate business. I was full-time out of the gate. But I just learned through building up my team, over the last, I don't know, 20 years, almost 20 years I've been in this business, and well, I guess 18 years of operating a team at a high level. I just got damn good at, even though it wasn't me personally in that situation, because your niche doesn't mean that's got your ideal client doesn't need to be a representation of you or what you went through personally. I just discovered that, man, I got really damn good at helping people through that transition, getting brand new agents to just scale very fast. I'm like, man, I got really good at helping brand new agents plug in and making 20 or 30 grand within, their first 6 months. Then I got really good at figuring out and identifying, just because I had to solve this problem for my own agents. I got really damn good at helping, brand new agents or not even brand new, but people that are making that transition from, having, a full-time job into transitioning full-time into real estate. But then, okay, well, because, I went out there and built a big, large, successful mega team, so then I was like, okay, well, man, I got really good at then helping and mentoring team leaders. So when I'm looking at, okay, well, my ideal client for team leaders, and I'm trying to recruit those into my organization, are those, those team leaders that are making 20, to let's just say 20 to 100 million, that want to go out there and scale to 200 plus million. Okay, like I ain't got that down to a science. I know exactly what I need to do to get them from where they're at to where they want to go at the highest possible level. And I know I can serve and support them at a higher level than my competitors can, because I personally went through it. So sometimes our ideal clients can be, okay, where we were at and how we got from where we're at to where we want to go. There's certain sayings out there, I guess, in the marketing world, where it's like, okay, think about where you were at 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So look, okay, let's sort of break it down, this 5-step framework. And again, world's not always perfect. So I don't want you to think about, because a lot of people will be like, oh, just go out there and target who you enjoy working with the best, who you connect with the best. Look, in a perfect world, yes. Because so step number one with this ideal client, our lead generation framework, step number one is to identify your ideal client. So we're looking at identifying your ideal client. Yes, if the world was perfect, which it is not, but in a perfect world, yeah, we could go out there and identify who you enjoy working with the best, who you connect with the best, who you develop the best rapport with, like who are your people. And if you just start assessing your inner circle, with your people, okay, who are those people? We start breaking that down. of who our people are, that we, again, enjoy working with the best, that we like the best, that we connect with the best, that we feel the most comfortable with, which is typically kind of our peer group of, if we start breaking down your age range, if you start breaking down your income range, you start breaking down your lifestyle, your hobbies, right? Like typically we go out there and connect with people that have those similar interests, to us. It's like when people tell me like, oh man, I want to get into the luxury niche. How do I get in the luxury niche? I'm like, okay, go out there and start making a bunch of money and become luxury yourself. Right? Like you better go out there and service high income earners. Okay. And I'm not saying this is the only way to break into there. But one of the most effective ways is to become a high income earner yourself, because you're going to get into those circles. You can have that relatability, and so forth from there, and then the other thing that I'll say. So, and again, perfect scenario, perfect situation. And again, we can have multiple ideal clients. So this might be one of your ideal clients, but just going through, if you've been in this business for a long time, okay, go through and map out all your, not all your past clients, but through your past clients, and break down, okay, who sends you the most repeat referral business? Who did you enjoy working with the best? Who did you connect with the best? Who became those raving fans, with you? And then, who sends you the most repeat referral business? Now that would be in a perfect world. But again, the world isn't perfect. So then from there, we got to also assess and understand of, okay, where is the biggest opportunity at in this given market? So here's an example with this. Okay, great financial crisis hits, 2008 to 2012. Now I started pivoting before that because I could see the writing on the wall. You got to have the ability to go out there and read markets. And it's like Wayne Gretzky's famous quote, if you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where it's going. A lot of people are late to the game. It's like I'm having a lot of people right now that are reaching out to me that are, 2 years late to pivoting. But 2 years late is better than not pivoting at all. But they've waited 2 years until their business fell off of a cliff, and now they're having to go out there and pivot because they didn't adapt accordingly. And again, adapting now is better. Making a switch now is better than not making a switch and continuing to struggle. However, I want to be early to the game, not late to the game. So it's like, okay, I read the writing on the wall, end of 2000, or end of 2021, of what the changes were going to be and going into 2022 with the economic contraction. When I say read the writing on the wall, I just pay attention. It's not like Jerome Powell didn't come out and tell us exactly what was going to take place, what their moves were. We knew that was going to lead to economic contraction. We knew that was going to lead to transaction volume decline. Like we knew, that crazy bull market run was, coming to an end. Now I didn't know the severity of it, but able to know that. Right. So then again, okay, 2008 great financial crisis. Before that, 2005, 2006, when I got in the business 2005. Okay, my business was primarily, not primarily, it was all traditional business. And it was through open houses and through going after expireds. Those were the median. Expireds were a niche. Open houses, so going after buyers at a certain price point range. So I was targeting move up and reload buyers through open houses. Those were my ideal clients at that time. But then the market started getting disrupted very fast. Well, then we fast forward to 2008, 2009. Okay, pretty much all my business went from traditional into REO and short sales, right? So going after banks and asset management firms and short sales, because that's where the demand was and that's where the biggest opportunity was at in my market at that time. Now, all of our markets are different. Phoenix is a big boom bust market, so the vast majority of the business during those years was distressed sales. Okay, well then boom, we hit 2012. Well, that starts to dry up. That starts to diminish. Well, then I start to see, all these big institutional investors, all these big hedge funds starting to move into our market and start making moves, buying real estate, buying a lot of real estate. So then, I pivoted my targeting to going after hedge funds. Didn't mean that I was stopping. Again, like I said, we're going to have a lot of different, we can have a multitude of niches. During this whole time, yes, I was still servicing and going after my traditional buyer and seller niches, even though that was pretty low, right? That volume was much lower than it was, but I didn't abandon them. I was still going after them, so those might've been down here where my REO and short sales was way up here. But then all of a sudden, I see REO and short sales starting to diminish, but my traditional business is staying down. People weren't really re-entering the market. So then I'm assessing the market. I'm like, okay, where's the next opportunity at? Who's coming in? Again, like I said earlier, dude, market's always good for somebody. Somebody's always buying, somebody's always selling, and so forth. So I start to see these hedge funds. And at the time, like, to be honest with you, I was so young, I didn't know what the hell a hedge fund even was, right? So I'm seeing these hedge funds though come in and start buying all this, starting to buy more and more real estate. I'm like, okay, boom, that's growing, that's expanding. That's the next opportunity. So then I start positioning myself and going after that niche. and that starts to blow up. And next thing you know, I'm doing, 50 homes a month or whatever, and going after these hedge fund units. So yeah, still got traditional business, which is low, got REO and short sale, which is diminishing, and I'm targeting these hedge funds, which is going up and up and up, right? Well, they're, buying heavy 2012, 2013. Okay, that starts to slow down and then just kind of falls off of a cliff with them. But then at that point, okay, my traditional business started coming back up and I started scaling that niche again. So the thing that I want you to understand here is with the ideal client, like I said, you got to be like water and you got to be fluid. So what I want you to be asking yourself is, okay, who is the best ideal client and or ideal clients for this given market that I'm in? And look, for some of you, you might have, an ideal client or certain ideal clients that you are going to service for the rest of your entire career. But then with different circumstances, we might need to add in additional ideal clients, based on the circumstances. Like this market right now, I have actually more niches that I'm targeting right now in this current market than I've ever had in my entire, almost 20 years of doing this. I've never had to do this many different niches because we've eliminated 60, 70, in certain markets, 80% of people that used to be able to buy and sell that can't. Right? We got transaction volume back down to 1995 levels. All these stuff is falling off a cliff. It's a different economic climate, a different real estate market. So what I want when it comes to your ideal client, though, now when we go through this framework, one thing I can't remember if I said this, so I want to state it, and I apologize if I'm repeating it here, but I want to state this. If you have multiple niches that you are going after, we got to put them through this framework separately. Okay, so first thing that I want you asking yourself, step number one, okay, so we're going to identify ideal client number one. Who is my ideal client for this given market? And my recommendation, at least for right now, me creating this podcast, it is March 12th, 2024 at 3:58 a.m., knocking this bad boy out early here. So then I'm going to be looking at, okay, where's the biggest opportunity in the market? Again, who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they coming from, where are they going? I can go out there and assess those things. And my recommendation right now for this current market that we are in, at least here's what I'm doing, is I'm identifying, okay, who has the highest probability of needing my services in this market. Right now, it is a time to not shotgun. It is a time to be a sniper with that damn sniper scope where we're being very laser focused. And again, who has the highest probability of needing my services in this given market, and then boom, targeting those ideal clients. And again, you can have a multitude of ideal clients, a multiple of different niches that we have going after. Okay, but step number one is you got to identify, okay, who that ideal client is. Okay, then step number two, now we're going to start breaking down and getting in the weeds here. So step number two then, now that we've identified that ideal client, is identifying the ideal client demographics. And I'm going to go through examples here, right? So step two is identifying ideal client demographics. What are the demographics? The demographics are the stats, the makeup. What is their age? What is their income? So here's an example. Okay, when I'm looking at, okay, who's a buyer in my market? And there's lots of different buyers, and again, we can have a multitude of different niches, but I look at, okay, with prices, with the economic situation, with what's going on, what makes sense, what ideal client makes sense for me to target on the buy side, in this given market. Okay, so then from there, I'm like, okay, for me, it's right now, just to give an idea of demographics, it's 40 to 55-year-old married couples. They're in peak income earning years, right? That are making 150 grand plus when it comes to household combined income. Because with the craziness of prices and the craziness of the unaffordability of life, it's like, man, if you're not making 150 G's minimum a year, it's very difficult to participate in, my given real estate market. Now, your market might be different. I'm just going through an example of mine. So when I said this earlier, I'm like, okay, who's buying? And again, we're going to do this as buyers. We're going to do it as sellers. My business is a little bit more seller based, or a lot more seller based today. When we stack up as many listings. So I'm just giving one example here, right? So, okay, because I don't want you to make the mistake of, well, I just don't want buyers, Josh, this doesn't apply to me. Nope, this applies to whether it's buyers, whether it's sellers, whether it's agent recruits. I'm just giving examples here. So then I'm like, okay, 40 to 55-year-old married couples. So that's one of the demographic, measurements there, right? Make it 150 grand plus a year. Okay, then from there, I'm like, what is their situation? What are they buying? Where are they coming from? So I start breaking that down. Okay, so then, so their peak income earning years, they own a home that they've been in for 10 plus years. So they have plenty of equity. They have the down payment. They have the income. They can go out there and afford this market. Okay, they're making their last move up buy of their life. They typically, they're married, they have kids. Usually kids are, junior high school age, right? Then from there I break down. So then I know what they're looking at, what they're looking to buy. Okay. I know what they want 2,500 plus square feet, 4 plus bedrooms, 2.5, 3 plus bathrooms, 3-car garages, homes with swimming pools. They want homes that are tricked out, right? With no deferred maintenance, that $600 to $1 million price point in my area. Okay. I know, the top 10 states and the top metros within those states that they're relocating to my market from. So I go out there and I do the due diligence. So I know, again, who's buying, who's selling, why are they buying, why are they selling, where are they coming from, where are they going. So I'm breaking down. These are examples of demographics. I know the stats, the makeup, right? These are just the stats, right? The different data points on them. Okay, so we identify that. So step number 2, identify your ideal client demographic. Step number 3, identify your ideal client psychographics, right? So the psychographics, this is, okay, what is going on in their head psychologically? Like what is that? Great marketers, great salespeople understand they got to enter that conversation taking place in their ideal clients' heads. So a very simple way of thinking about this is understand that sales is all about pain and pleasure. Right. So what's the pain that they're experiencing? What's the pleasure that they want to get to? And then identify, okay, what are those roadblocks that are blocking them and prohibiting them from going from where they're at to where it is that they want to go? You identify what those roadblocks are and you articulate that you are the best guide to get them from pain to the pleasure that they want to be. And again, this applies to buyers, this applies to sellers, this applies to agent recruits, all the more that we can understand this is how we develop our unique selling propositions, right? This is how we differentiate ourselves, is by understanding the psychographics, understanding pain and pleasure, understand those roadblocks. It's like, okay, they're here at point A. They want to get to point B. Our job is to articulate we are the best guide to get them from point A to point B. How do we articulate we're the best guide to get them from point A to point B? Is by identifying, okay, what are those roadblocks? It's like they're trying to get from point A to point B, but then boom, all of a sudden this roadblock comes up and then bam, they're blocked, right? They hit this wall. Okay, well, my job is to identify what that wall is and remove that wall for them. Right? So, and each niche is different than this. So I'll give an example. Okay, so 2020 hits. Market starts going nuts. One of my ideal clients, traditional ideal clients for my, for the most of my entire career, not through every element of it, but for the vast majority, has been move up buyers. Just like in this case that I'm giving you an example of one of my ideal clients right now, move up buyers, right? I've always liked this niche and like this target audience, because, okay, so, whether I'm prospecting or whether I'm marketing, it's the same cost per lead, or same time and energy to go out there and acquire them. But then boom, in most cases, because they're buying and they need to sell to go out there and buy, I got 2 acquisitions. So I for the same amount of time and energy and effort, okay, I got 2 transactions. Now, if they're relocating, okay, hopefully I can capture them early on and then still get the referral fee if they're in a different state. So I'm still getting paid twice, in those situations and cases, right? So then from there, okay, so these are second and third time move up buyers with this ideal client. So then, okay, 2020 hits and things start going gnarly, with all the crazy money printing and stimulus and just the government response and the Federal Reserve response to what was going on. So next thing you know, okay, all of a sudden we got 50 offers on every single property, 100 offers on every single property. You got people overbidding for properties, waiving appraisal gaps. So then, okay, it became very, very difficult because this ideal client, they wanted to sell and they wanted to go out there and buy, but the roadblock came into, okay, hey, I've got tons of equity in my house that I need to sell, but I need to sell it to go out there and buy. They're great qualified, great credit. They have, the down payment, great income, whatever, but they need that property to sell. Okay, the conundrum became the pain point, the problem, the roadblock became, okay, the homes that they were looking to buy, nobody would accept the seller contingency. So then, okay, either they're going to become obsolete in that market, or I'm going to figure out what that pain and pleasure is, what that roadblock is, and figure out how I can help them go out there and solve that problem. So I'm sitting there and banging my head against the wall thinking, okay, how can I solve this problem? Now, if I couldn't have solved it, I would have went on and found a different ideal client. Yeah, right. I wouldn't just keep, going out there and trying to go out there and service people that I can't help based on that, economic, climate situation. But luckily I was able to go out there and solve it. So because it's simultaneously one of my other ideal clients is investors. buy and hold investors and professional investors, if you will, if you want to put it that way, meaning that, okay, they're very clear in their buy box. Anything that I shoot them and send them, like they have the capital to go out there and if it meets their buy box, to take it down and acquire on that. So then I got in this situation. Okay, well, my investor clients, my other ideal clients, couldn't go out there and put their money to work, because it was like, okay, parking it in these didn't pencil out because they're not flippers. They're, certain, investor clients of mine that I had. So then it was like, okay, well, how do we get things speaking together and how do we work this out together? Okay, well, what if I get my investors, to be able to come in and to start acquiring this real estate? So, okay, if I got this seller, let's say, okay, they're in home A, they want to sell home A and go out there and buy home B. Okay, so when they're selling home A, right, okay, they need to sell home A though to go out there and buy home B. And the conundrum is the people that are the home B won't accept this contingency. Okay, so what if I can get an investor to come in there and buy or give an offer on home A, that we're all in agreement, all on terms on. Okay, well, then from there, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem, because we need this to close. My people can't be homeless, right? So, okay, get the investor to give them an offer on home A, then get the investor to go out there and acquire and buy for cash home B, for my clients. Go out there and take that down and buy that. So now we become, give them the power of being a cash purchaser. Then from there, once home B closes, then we close on home A, free up that equity, and then go out there and sell them back home B. Now, my investor clients charge a certain fee to go out there and do that. So my investor clients are winning. It's putting their capital to work, and they've got a unique niche now where they're going out there and winning and making good money. But then I solved the problem, or the problem's been solved, for my traditional move up buyer client in that market, because otherwise it would have been obsolete. And again, everybody wins. And I win because it's like, okay, you get, I get a commission on home A, commission on home B. Then when my investors, acquire this and eventually sell it, okay, well then, then it was leading to 2 to 3 commissions on every single deal too. So that's what I'm talking about of, okay, they are here. They want to get to here. What is that roadblock? The more that we can identify that. And that's why niching down, when we understand who our specific ideal client is, we can go out there and get more crystal clear on what those roadblocks are and how to remove those roadblocks and how to go out there and problem solve. The greatest salespeople out there, the most successful people on the planet, are the best problem solvers. So when we are generalists, when we go out there and try to be all things to all people, there's just too much going on where we can't get specific to identifying, their specific scenarios and situations that they're going through, right? Okay, so that is an example of ideal client psychographics. So what is the pain and pleasure that they're experiencing? You need to understand what that pain is, what that pleasure is, what those potential blocks are, and then be able to articulate that you're the guide to get them from point A to point B. Okay, so then step number 4 here is congregation. Right. And by congregation, I mean, where are they at? Where do they hang out? I get people all the time. They're like, well, dude, should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I be on TikTok? Should I be on YouTube? Should I do mail or should I do? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, right. No, I do know, but I'm saying, like, we got to do some homework on this and research on this. Is your ideal client on those platforms? How does your ideal client do business? So when I look at congregation, it's like, where do they spend time physically? Where are they at with their eyeballs? Like, where are they at online? Where are they at physically? How do they do business? Because you got to show up where they're at. So, great example I stole from a gentleman named Perry Marshall, one of his books is, he's like, okay, man, if I'm selling Bibles, my job is to go out there and sell Bibles. I'm probably not going to go to strip clubs to sell those Bibles, because my ideal client buyer of this Bible probably isn't hanging out in the strip club. Like, you got to make sure if you're in a room, you're in the right room, right? And this is going to be different based on who your ideal client is, of how we go out there and target them. So what is, where they congregate allows us to know where we need to target them at. Are they somebody, maybe the niche that you're going after? It's like, okay, I can go run all the ads that I possibly want. If I'm trying to get into, let's just say, REO, to get in with asset managers and asset manager outsources and banks. Okay, I can run all the Facebook ads I want on the planet. It's not going to do any good. Right? That's not how business is done in that, as far as gaining those channel accounts, right? So we got to look at where do they congregate? How do they do business? Where their eyeballs at? That then breaks down, okay, where we are going to go out there and target them. Okay, so then it's step number 5. Now, this is going to be a combination of your strengths, how you want to do your business, your overall timeline, And then also that congregation element, because step number 5 is going to dictate, okay, how you are delivering that message. So we start looking, okay, what are your internal strengths or personal strengths? But then we got to also pay attention to timeline. So, okay, can I get my ideal? I'll give an example here. Right. So let's just say, okay, one of my ideal clients, and has been for a long period of my career, and definitely is one of my ideal clients right now, is going after expireds. Right now, I know the pain and pleasure. I know what's going on, psychograph. I know all these steps that we've broken down thus far. I know exactly what my messaging needs to be, all of that. So then if we look at, okay, so I've got several different ways that I can attack them. Right. Like meaning like where my message is going to show up. Okay. Traditionally, most people are hitting the phones. Okay. I can do that and have a lot of success with that. I can also go out there and send mailer campaigns, or you could run, social media ads and target them that way as well. But some of that's going to be determined on your timeline. Okay. I have a very effective, high converting expired letter. But with that, my average expired letter, I get a call after letter number 8, which is 5-month post expiration, post them expiring. So the letter works really good for those that, their home expired, but they're not looking to relist for, several months down the road, right? Which is the vast majority expires. They don't relist for about month 4, that 2-year mark. So it captures those kind of longer term expires, right? And I love it because, man, it gets them calling me. I don't got to chase them down, whatever. However, that when I'm saying 5 months is when I get that call. So now I got to go on the listing presentation. I got to make sure the house is prepped, get it launched, get it listed, so then we're talking, I don't know, maybe 6 months, best case, 7-8 months, somewhere between, 6 to 8 months before I got a paycheck in my hand. So if I have somebody that comes to me, that's like, hey, I want to target expires, that makes sense for me to go after them. And I'm not saying to go after expires, I'm just using this as an example. Everything works, nothing doesn't, right? But then from there, somebody's like, hey man, I need a paycheck though in like 4 months. Okay, letters probably isn't the medium, for you to go out there and attack those expireds. This is why timeline is important. Okay, I'm probably going to have you go out there and target the phones, as we're going through those, right? So then, because okay, congregation, it's like, okay, that niche is, typically answering their phones. Well, okay, if I want to get into the luxury market and I'm going after, okay, certain hedge fund buyers or certain, there's going to be certain niches where, okay, the phones aren't good, right? Like you can't get them on the phone. They're unattainable on the phone. They have gatekeepers that you can't get to them on the phone, so then you got to bring in other things. Okay. All right. So this is where we got to look through these different steps. So as we start breaking this down, right. Again, so when we identify our ideal client and we identify our ideal client demographics, that shows us who we're targeting. Our ideal client psychographics then shows us what our messaging needs to be. Ideal client congregation shows us where our message needs to show up. And then step 5 here, based on our strengths and timelines. And again, that congregation shows us how our message is then going to be delivered. Is that going to be through the phones? Is that going to be through an open house? Is it going to be through social media? Is it going to be through, YouTube? Is it going to be through a letter? Is it going to be through, different things? And again, these are all things that we got to put together and pay attention to. This doesn't need to take forever. Like, okay, I can map all this stuff out in half a day about, developing new niche. But it's important to do. So then again, exactly precisely who you're targeting, what your message needs to be, where you are targeting them, how you are going to target them. That comes together and it allows us to develop an effective overall lead generation strategy that is very laser focused and laser targeted when it comes to that. So like one of the most common things I'm getting right now is, man, I need to go after, I need business now. And I want to go after sellers. But in this current, and I'll speak to this current market that we are all in right now in 2024 here, but man, I'm talking to so many people. Nobody just has, nobody's motivated to go out there and sell. I'm like, okay, that just means that you got the wrong niche or you don't have an effective strategy. Strategy is just, or who, when it comes to client acquisitions, you can also think of this as niching down of who has the highest probability to need my services in this market. So I started assessing the overall economic climate, started assessing, I was just having this conversation with somebody last night on one of these free coaching calls. I was like, look, okay, number one reason for divorce is financial stress, right? Tough financial times, number one reason for divorce. If we look at what we're going on through economically, the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. If we look at and track and pay attention to the amount of debt versus savings rate, it is growing, expanding, and at a wider gap than we've ever seen it in recorded history. So when we start breaking that down, okay, most people alive today, this is the hardest time that they've ever experienced economically, financially for them. So divorces is skyrocketing. Okay, so then from there we start, okay, well, that's a great niche. people that own a home that are going through a divorce, probability of them not being under that same rooftop, very high, right? Once they finalize this divorce or going through the divorce, okay, probability of them needing to sell to split that asset, also very high. So these are people that have urgency, right? So we got to look at that. Who has urgency? Who needs our services? Not who wants to buy or sell. Who needs to buy and sell in this market? It's really important to switch from wants to needs in this given economic climate market that we are in right now. So then from there, we start looking at timeline. Right? Okay, well, how soon do you need money? There's, one way to go out there and build this out is, okay, we could go out there and, build it out through developing relationships with divorce attorneys. Now it's going to take a long time, right? That's playing defense. You're reliant on them spoon feeding you business, right? Okay, you could go out there and develop online funnels and internet funnels and offer free guides and, about how to, tips of going through a divorce and navigating through that. But again, those are all great. All these are great things. But if that could be a 6 to 12 month buildup time before you start seeing now immediate business, so maybe this agent comes to me and is like, well, man, I need to start getting listings like ASAP. I need to start scale my business ASAP. If I don't start making some money, I'm going to get in some hard place. I'm already in a hard place, okay, well then maybe it makes the most sense then, in my opinion, would make the most sense to go out there, get the divorce data, call them directly and go out there and use a very high converting script, knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, having the right, process and skill set, and go out there and get those now immediate listings. If my timeline needs and calls for now immediate business, okay, I'm going to go after those, for that. Right. So that's where we can, start putting these different things together, when it comes to that, then when, like I was talking about with agent recruiting, okay, if I'm going after, a brand new agent, okay, well, they have different things going on in their head. My messaging needs to be different. My unique selling proposition is probably going to be slightly different. Things are going to be different. How I'm going to speak to them, my message, timeline is going to be different than if I'm going after, maybe a seasoned, team leader, that has a small team of, 5 that's doing 20 million, but I know that I can get them to 100 million plus, in a quick period of time. Okay, well, that is going to be a longer timeline. My message is going to be different. How I target them is different. It's like, okay, brand new agents, I'm recruiting fresh out of school or that are still going to school, okay, like Indeed crushes it. I'm running a bunch of Indeed ads, to go out there and generate those leads. Okay, well, a seasoned agent isn't going to go to Indeed to look at potential real estate options. But somebody that's getting into this business, that's used to the corporate world, that's what they're accustomed to and used to. Okay, so why I wouldn't be on Indeed and running ads on Indeed if I'm looking for seasoned agents, right? Or team leaders that I'm trying to recruit, into my real estate company, right? So again, different congregations, different messaging, different things, when it comes to this. But I'm telling you, especially as things are getting more challenging economically, this becomes that much more important. You hear me talk about this all the time, call it the three-legged stool, when it comes to client acquisition. We got strategy, which is just, okay, who are we targeting that has the highest probability of needing our services based on the overall climate, economic climate, real estate market that we are in? Okay, process is making sure that we're following up long enough and frequent enough to maximize conversions. And then the third component of that stool, the third leg, is skill set. All three of those things must come together, just like in a three-legged stool. You remove one of those stools, boom, that thing falls over, right? Like, dude, you might be targeting the right people. You might have the right process, but if your skill set sucks, okay, you're not going to convert and you're going to experience a lot of resistance. Vice versa. Okay, maybe you're targeting the right people. Maybe you have the right process, but your skill set sucks. Okay, a lot of resistance, right? But now maybe you have a great skill set, but you're targeting the wrong people that don't need our services. Okay, well, you're going to have a lot of resistance. So these three things must come together. The last thing that I'll say here about, when it comes to your lead gen strategy and niching down with this is, don't make the mistake of just thinking, oh, I just need to have the front end of my lead gen dialed in without the conversion machine dialed in. Look, I understand that worked 2012 to middle of early 2022 when we were in that was just easy street. You got to understand that was the longest bull market in recorded history. That was just so damn easy, so much low hanging fruit, so much FOMO. All that is dried up. Right now, we've got to obsess over maximizing and optimizing conversions. So okay, on the front end stuff, all these things that we talked about, who we're targeting, how we're getting our messaging, but then you got to make sure that you have the right follow-up protocol, the right processes, the right systems, and the right skill set to maximize those conversions, because it's a law of probabilities, law of averages, I should say, not probabilities, but law of averages, where you're going to get some immediate, you're going to get the 3 months, the 6 months, the 1 year, the 2 years, the 5 years, right? You got to get good at each of those so you can maximize those conversions for if and when they're ready to really expand and scale this up. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to end it with this again. If you are an individual agent, if you are a real estate team leader, if you are a brokerage owner, the reason why I'm stressing this is sometimes I get, I don't know, people that want to go out there and start a house flipping, wholesaling business that aren't building a real estate career. These coaching calls are not for you if that is you, right? And if this isn't for lenders, this isn't for title company reps. Sometimes I get you guys reaching out to me too. You're like, look, I just stay in my lane. Not that I can come up with ideas to help you out to grow your business, but I stay in my lane. I know exactly how to help real estate agents, team leaders, and brokerage owners grow and scale the shit out of their business. So if that is you and you do not know exactly what you need to do to get from where you're at to where you want to go, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. These are very temporary. Can't do these forever. I'm doing them for a limited amount of time because I want to go out there and support and give back to this amazing GSD mode community that's given me so much over the years. And thank you for all your support over the years. I want to help you get dialed in. And I know that there's a lot of you struggling, but then there's also, in my opinion, this is going to be the greatest opportunity of our whole entire real estate careers of our lifetime to position ourselves to go out there and just explode our business. Look, when this thing, corrects, there's going to be so much market share to be had. Look, there's more millionaires and billionaires created during down markets than up markets. Like, this is that time to make sure you got your A game in place and you got your shit together and you got those right strategies dialed in, not just so you can survive, but I want to make sure that you are thriving and crushing and kicking ass. So again, on this coaching call, here's what we're going to break down: where your business is at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals are, what you are currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are that I'm going to map out. In my professional opinion, my experience, if I were to trade places with you, if I were in your shoes, here's exactly what I would do to go from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. We're going to remove all that guesswork, remove all that confusion, get you like a horse with the blinders on. Telling you right now, in this information age, that's one of the biggest problems I see people having is there's just too much information out there. They're too overwhelmed. They're too confused. There's 1,000 things running through their head. I'm like, nope, success is not doing 1,000 things. Success is doing a few things, billion, thousands of times. Yeah, right. Just because there's so many different things out there doesn't mean it's right for you, right for your situation, right for you to go out there and accomplish your goals. So we're going to put the pieces together so you know exactly what to do, so you can be a horse with blinders on, or exactly what to focus on to, again, get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. So if you want to take advantage of this, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. I promise you, I will get you dialed in. I got your back on this. This is not some bait and switch bullshit, shallow, free coaching call. No, we're going to spend 50 minutes getting you 100% dialed in on this hour-long call. It's going to be all about you getting you dialed in. Yeah. And then full disclosure, that last 10 minutes, I'm going to spend a couple minutes walking through, different coaching options that I have, because I have, extremely affordable, effective options. I've got more expensive options when it comes to in-depth, one-on-one consulting. I've got partnership opportunities available. So, we have several different opportunities available. And look, I'm just going to go through, hey, here's what they are. So, they exist. And look, if they're a fit for you, cool. And if they're not a fit for you, that's okay. We can still be friends. You have my 100% word that this coaching call will be extremely, massively beneficial and powerful for you. You got everything to gain, nothing to lose. So if you don't know, again, exactly what to do, and you're not booking this call, and you're struggling, whatever, right? Well, then, dude, I can't help you, right? It's like you're drowning in quicksand. It's like, I see you. I got the rope. I'm tossing you the rope. I'll pull you out. But if you're not taking advantage of this, if you don't want to grab the rope, you're just going to sink. I can't pull you out if you don't grab the rope. I will pull you out. I'll get you dialed in. Just like, when I'm doing these, because I understand the resistance of people booking these. It's like, oh, well, I just don't want to be hard sold. I don't have the money to go out there and buy coaching, or I've done coaching before. It doesn't work. Okay, cool. I'm not going to hard sell. It's not my style. If it's for you, great. If it's not for you, great. And maybe it's something that, hey, you want to do in the future, cool. It happens all the time on these calls, man. And there's certain situations, certain times where I'm like, on these calls, I'm like, hey, I know you're in a tough spot. I've been in tough spots before. We don't even have to talk about the coaching. Let's just get your things turned around, because I know they can't afford it. I know they're just barely, hanging on. It's not my style to go out there and, hard pressure you, hard sell you. It's just, hey, here's what they are. Here's what they exist. If they're for you, great. If not, that's okay too. Let's still spend 50 minutes getting your business turned around, dialed in, and get you rock and rolling, so you have that full clarity of what you need to do to go out there and kick ass. I got your back. I promise you that. We will get you dialed in. So if you want to take advantage of that, go to www.gsdmode.com Zoom call. All right, guys, keep crushing it. Keep kicking ass. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.